Hello, welcome everyone to the breakdown with your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. It's a pleasure to see all of you today. We are coming live from the Neon Parrot Live studios, located at the Majestic Coffee Shop dwelling downtown Abilene, Texas. I'd like to thank my producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, a.k.a. Sammy to me, for making all this happen. And we'd like to thank Jan from Hair and Makeup, as she always does her best with me. Your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. This is like episode, I'm not sure what. It's maybe we're getting close to 40, I think. But we've been, I guess in September, this will be a year. The breakdown has been airing almost every week. We're in the dog days of summer currently, and I've been doing a little bit of traveling in the deep south as of the last week or two, and that was really cool. Catching some rays, if you know what I mean. There are not a lot of sports topics happening right now because, as I mentioned, this is the dog days of summer that we're in. There is hope. I'm hoping to pick up a few new viewers because I'm gonna start getting into baseball as we move forward. Before we get into my first true love, which is the NFL and college football, which will be coming up here in a matter of, I think we're just a couple of short months away from things really kicking off. But we're going to talk some Astros baseball here in a little bit when I look up some fun things and what series they've got coming up, because it's somewhat regional to us here. And we're going to start off today. I love the tennis tournament Wimbledon every year. It's same bat time, same bat channel on ESPN. It is in early July. The tournament goes on for 2-3 weeks. It's really fun. It's been going on for 148 consecutive years. And it's just the pageantry of Wimbledon is much like, the Masters, if you will, for golf, for us here in America. But I've always wanted to go to Wimbledon. Maybe I'll get to do that someday soon. But it's just it's pageantry at its finest. It's a lot of fun. We've got some more Americans doing better these years than we have in the past. Ever since Serena has been gone, our American tennis talent isn't just it's not dominating. It's kind of it's rough. But we've got Ben Shelton. We've got a couple of American ladies. Coco Gauff. I can't remember if she got knocked out early or what. But anyways, I love some Wimbledon. I like the grass courts. It's easy on the eyes. It's fun. But in Wimbledon news today, folks, and it's funny because y'all know how new viewers to the show may not know this, but your man Ben loves the Wall Street Journal. It is it covers everything. It covers sports. It covers current events, politics, everything, and it truly does show you both sides of issues. It is not just a one side or the other. Even with their opinion pieces, they have people on all sides of issues. So you can take the Wall Street Journal and pick it apart at your leisure and make up your own mind for a lot of it. But in Wimbledon news, we have robot umpires for the first year in 148 years. They are using artificial intelligence to basically judge the lines for the tennis matches. And if you're new to the show, you can go back a few episodes and you can get my thoughts on artificial intelligence and just the complete full speed ahead, all aboard, everybody's on board with AI, and let's just do it, and nobody cares. We're not going to regulate it. And in the big, beautiful bill, it's not going to, you can't even regulate this for 10 years on all these AI projects. So my thoughts have been well put forward on this program on what I think about just the AI situation at hand. Now, I am going to kind of talk on both sides of my mouth here because I kind of like the idea with the line judges that you can't just human error can cost somebody millions of dollars here with with these tennis players, and it happens all the time with tennis, all the time. The line judges are, they're standing there looking at the line, and they're some feet away, so they get these calls wrong a lot. And it's funny, this article in the journal, there's a couple of people seemingly protesting the the line judge's job. They took our jobs. South Park. Sammy reminded me of that earlier. But AI is going to be taking your jobs for a lot of for a lot of you that, have jobs that just won't be considered necessary anymore. And you're going to have to figure out something else to do if you're looking at lines or if you're taking orders at a drive-through. You need to figure out something else to do pretty soon here. But anyways, this guy, Gabriel Paul, his first summer job was working at Wimbledon when he was 17. And he says, don't let bots call the shots. The British media is kind of seizing on all of this. Like I said, guys, there's not a whole lot going on in the world of sports. So the Wimbledon robots taking people's jobs, calling the lines is pretty funny. When it comes to gambling on tennis, the favorites tend to win most of the time. So you have to put a whole lot of coin down to make anything back on a lot of these matches. But to stay on task here, we have tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m. our time, we have Taylor Fritz versus Carlos Alcaraz. And this Alcaraz, however you want to pronounce it, I'm not sure exactly. But he is a phenom. He's incredible. I think he's like 24 years old, maybe younger. But this guy's smoking people just every time he gets on the court unless he has a bad day. He won Wimbledon last year. I believe he might have won the French Open this year. But Carlos, I would put, if I had the kind of, he's minus 600 for a favorite. That means you got to put $600 down to win $100 back. So heavy favorite for Carlos. And if you got that kind of money, I'd put it all on Carlos to win that one. So those are going to be your semifinals tomorrow. Fritz versus Alcaraz. And then at 9:10 a.m., we have Jannik Sinner and Novak Djokovic. I love the Joker. Novak is one of my favorite tennis players of all time to watch. He's Serbian. He's I don't know if this is considered a slur. I don't believe it is, but he's kind of a gypsy from Serbia, and he comes from a family that's very superstitious and kind of like way old school. And for years, he took his kind of guru with him on the road every time he'd do these tennis matches, and they would, I don't know what kind of, it's not a religion, I don't suppose, but the guy's interesting. He was basically held captive in Australia during the COVID nonsense, and he was one of the only people on the tennis tour that refused to take the mRNA vaccine or whatever. And so he was basically trapped in Australia for like a month, and they weren't going to let him. They were making him quarantine and all this other kind of stuff. Australia is an interesting place. You want to talk about not having a whole lot of rights. Be careful when you're going over there. But anyways, I love Djokovic. I think he's in his late 30s now, and he's kind of made of rubber. Every time he gets an injury, he just boom bounces back from it so fast. So Jannik Sinner is the favorite here. Considerable favorite, minus 215 for Sinner. But Novak, I think this is where, and don't quote me and probably fade me as we say here on the breakdown, folks. But if I was to place a wager, which I'm not going to on this, but I would probably go with the upset for Novak, the Joker, plus 175. You can make a little coin there. So we've got the ladies currently playing right now, and I'm not sure how that's going to go. But let's see if we have our... it looks like Iga Swiatek and Amanda Anisimova are going to be, I guess, that might be the final. Yeah, because today was the women's semis, I think. Anyways, I'm not trying to bore you breakdown with all this tennis talk, but it's what's going on. It's fun. Watch it. Even if you don't like tennis, you'll like watching Wimbledon. It's fun. But one other thing that's interesting about tennis and Wimbledon and the French Open and the U.S. Open is if a tennis player is from the country of Russia, their flag is not displayed next to their name. Every other country, your flag of your country that you represent, whether it's Chile, whether it's Portugal or United States, Great Britain, whatever it is, your little flag's next to your name. Well, if you're a Russian tennis player, you don't get a flag. It's just a blank space. They did this after the second go round of the Ukraine-Russia conflict that's been going on for some years now. But anyways, I think that's kind of messed up because it's like it's not the freaking Russian tennis players' fault about whatever's going on. They want to represent their country. You know, I think that's interesting. So that's just a little tidbit from the world of tennis and how we like to other people that we don't agree with as a general rule. So that's my Wimbledon talk. Don't forget, they're going to take your jobs. Okay, and then that's my ease into the sporting. We're going to bounce. We're going to get our tinfoil hats on here today, folks, at some point. This show is just going to go off the rails. So do pull up a chair, get a cup of coffee here at the Majestic, and, you know, put this sunburnt mug on your computer screen or your iPhone screen, because I don't think anybody uses those other phones. So let's do that. My music of the summer. I have found this radio station on Sirius XM radio called The Bridge, and The Bridge has changed my life over the last 2 weeks. I drove for almost 15 hours in the car about a week ago to a location on the Gulf Coast. And I will have you know that I listened to The Bridge on Sirius XM for the entirety of my 14.5 hour drive. And The Bridge plays the likes of James Taylor, Jackson Brown, Linda Ronstadt, John Denver, Hall & Oates, the easy stuff. You got Kenny Loggins. Who else we got on The Bridge? Simon and Garfunkel. Paul Simon by himself. Who's that? Like you were walking onto a yacht. What's her name? Damn. She was good too. But anyways, good God, try out some soft rock of the 70s and 80s. It's amazing. It's not yacht rock, because yacht rock is more like Bee Gees and different things like that. It's a little more up. But Jim Croce's on the bridge. Am I the only one that listens to radio, even though it's XM radio? Because everybody does Spotify now. But I will have you know that you can get on Spotify and put in the bridge, and somebody has curated a station on Spotify that plays the same likes as the bridge. And I'm just telling you, man, it'll put you in a better mood. There's not really sad songs. I can't say enough about summer 2025 for your not so humble talking hairdo is soft, smooth sounds of the 70s and 80s. That's what I have to say about that. And moving forward, jumping back to sports for just a moment. I've told you guys I'm into the WNBA this year, primarily because of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers. It's not really, you have the Caitlin Clark haters. Some people get into this race thing. Some people, but Angel Reese is really good too. And they have been, rivals since college. And it's made the WNBA have some more kind of smoke, some heat for me. And, Caitlin Clark just got what most considered to be snubbed. And she's just getting the snub tour. And another show that I listened to myself, sports show, was talking about how, the ladies in the WNBA are just jealous of Caitlin Clark because it wasn't this popular before she got on the scene. And it's because she is the female version of Steph Curry, which they haven't had. And she played at the same school for 4 years in Iowa. So Caitlin Clark is just, we know who she is. And I will throw Angel Reese in there as well. So you got a black player and a white player that, in my opinion, and many others, have brought a lot more eyeballs to this sport. And it's made it very interesting. And then you get Paige Beckers from UConn, and she's amazing. This is her first year, but she's learning also that she's not going to just come in here and drop bombs on all these other ladies that have been playing it for a while. But I've had a lot of fun getting involved with the WNBA, and it's been kind of fun to wager on too. I'm not going to lie about that. Tonight, speaking of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, they play tonight at 6:30 p.m. against the Atlanta Dream. The great thing about sports betting on the WNBA is, because people aren't very familiar with it, and that goes for bettors too, is everybody just thinks that Caitlin Clark's going to win every game because she's Caitlin Clark. Well, if your first pick in the draft, you're going to the worst team. So Indiana Fever, they're not the worst team, but they're not that great, and she doesn't go off every single night. So you can put some tasty wagers against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever and come out on top a lot. So I'm not saying that I would, but I know a guy that might put a couple of coins on the Atlanta Dream to upset the Indiana Fever tonight at 6:30. But you do with that what you will. And then our Dallas team, locally, the Dallas Wings. The Dallas Wings, I think it is. That's who Paige Beckers plays for, who is the first pick this year's draft. And that's pretty exciting for Dallas. I was at a restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and I saw some little girls with their dad, and they had Paige Beckers jerseys on, and they were clearly either going to or coming from a WNBA game. How cool is that? It's like we're getting eyeballs on the sport because we've got some people that are a little more polarizing in their game and how they play, and really not for any other reason, which is cool. Not because of politics, not because of whatever the case may be. It's because they're damn good at hooping. So, way to go, girls. Love the WNBA. It's been a lot of fun. I should have started the show with this, and for that I apologize, but we had some catastrophic flooding in the great state of Texas where this show is streamed live. And thank God, not that it makes it any better, but for me personally, I don't know anybody who lost their life in the disastrous flooding. And all this happened in the middle of the night when people were sleeping, and it's just awful, and it makes you wonder about a lot of things. And I'm not talking about the human element here as far as there should be no blame. That's not like when people go political over natural disasters, it pisses me off. So the blame game here, just like if it was a tornado or anything else, I think is ridiculous. Other than, and it's too early, which I will go into this because that's what I do on the show as well. But it's a little too early to point fingers just because it's so damn sad. And so I don't know, guys. If I'm sure there's fun, relief funds that people can donate to. Make sure it's legitimate because a lot of times these things are bogus. But I would encourage that. I've got a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who is actually down there right now assisting with the recovery efforts, I guess you could say, at this point. And the numbers keep rising. And so, yeah, we're just thinking about you guys down there on the river, And it's just horrible. And there's no way to really put that into words or to wrap your head around why, all those young kids were taken off this earth from their families in a pretty damn awful way. That's hard for me to understand. I don't get stuff like that, just like I don't understand childhood cancer. We live in this world of everything happens for a reason and all these other things, and I don't know. It's hard to not go to a kind of a downer place when these things happen, because you can tell me all you want that, I don't know. It's hard for me to understand why young children have to go out like that. But those are my thoughts on that. You can think whatever you want. I kind of go a little bit cynical and pessimistic about the world when these things happen, because I think it's really fucked up, and I don't think it should happen. But anyways, my thoughts and my heartfelt sorrow go out to these families. It could have been any one of us. We live not far away from all this stuff, and we all go and float the Guadalupe River. We do it every freaking summer. What we as Texans generally in this area, and so it just really could have happened to any of us and any of our kids, and it's horrible. So I didn't want to not touch on that. And so there it is. I'm just sorry that happened, and I hope it doesn't happen again for a very long time, if ever. But it's just the way this nasty world is at times, and Ma Nature makes you realize how small you really are sometimes. And so that's what I think about that. We're gonna put this in a different direction. I would like for my audience to go into their kitchen, into the pantry, grab your aluminum foil, shape it into a half cylinder with a little point if you choose, and put it on your head, because we're going to tinfoil hat land, even though I don't think it's that crazy. But as you guys know, this show can go any direction right now, especially when I don't have freaking 20 football games per week to talk about. So we're gonna jump into, and I know that my producer extraordinaire Sammy is got a couple of images that he's got from some of my topics here, and what I'm gonna go into now, which I don't talk very much about, but it's my show. I don't care. It's if you want to consider it political, you can. As I like break my pen, that's funny. I'm not upset. No. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this whole Epstein situation that's been dragging on since 2019. So we all know the story, at least how we've been told, the documentaries that we've no doubt watched. There's a woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving 20 years in prison. So crimes clearly were committed. We were told by the Trump team administration, as they were quite handily going to beat the crap out of Kamala Harris and company, because that wasn't much of a opponent, to be quite frank. And, hopefully the Democrats can actually come up with a candidate that is vote worthy amongst the mainstream of this freaking weird ass country. Okay. But for now, they're going to put up people like that, and we're going to get Trumps. Okay. So Trump ran on many things. A lot of these things he's doing, whether you agree with it or not, or whether I agree with it or not, he's following through with many of these things. One of those things that he ran on was, we have Epstein's flight logs and client lists, or a little black book. Epstein, you don't think that he had blackmail on all these people, because he did. And it's been told to us. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had it on her desk, the files, 100 days ago. 100 days ago, she had the files in her hand and said, we're going through this. We're going to declassify this information so you, the American people, know who the bad guys are. Okay. So where this just, I'm shocked, utterly shocked, but not surprised one bit. And that's kind of the bummer. But as of 2 days ago, the director of the FBI, Trump's FBI now, Kash Patel, whom everybody seems to like and wanted him there, has come out and said, well, you know what? There isn't a list after all. So, wow. So you run on it, you've got it, and then there isn't one. So what? So I'm here to ask questions, breakdown. What does that tell you? And we've got several pictures of the president locked arms with Epstein in photographs, and one with his wife Melania, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell at some party at some point. And I'm not here. Everybody, it seems, doesn't it, had ties to this guy on the left and the right. But both sides want you to say, well, our guy just rubbed elbow. They was just at a party once. It doesn't matter if it's a freaking MAGA sycophant or a freaking communist leftist sycophant. For both, I think, are a little bit silly these days. And if you don't, then that's on you. But, both sides want to say, well, our guys didn't do this, or weren't in bed with this guy financially or whatever, or didn't go to the island, or, they've got. So basically, you answer the question yourself, America. What the hell do you think that means? That all of a sudden there isn't a list when our guy told us that there was, and they had it, and now there's not one. So that tells me that probably our guy, whoever's guy, the guy that's in right now, is implicated in this shit. Okay, but the people on the far right are gonna just defend and come up with the reasons why that doesn't matter, and the people on the far left are probably already got their impeachment papers all written up. I think they did that the day he was elected. So what about the rest of us that are somewhere in the middle here? Well, what do we do with all this? And, I think the answer is no, absolutely nothing. And that leads me to my next topic, whereas what I've deemed the match made in hell, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. God, everybody thought that was going to be so great. And it is proven to be a shit show, which is how most of this guy's relationships end up, through business, which the government is a business, and our president is running this business called America. And so Elon Musk, him and Trump have broken up, and it is also in the Wall Street Journal today. Musk declares the launch of America Party. Okay. It says here, though, that the billionaire fails to file paperwork to show organization has been created. So, Musk says, which I'm not mad about the whole Doge thing, by the way, for the record. I think that's probably good, but it's, this is all just a mess. But in quotes, he says, every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame, Musk wrote on X on Monday, and they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing that I do on this earth. So Musk is firing on all cylinders to create a new party to basically, I guess, mess up the primaries or whatever. I don't know. But that's kind of funny. This is all just becoming such a cartoon, shit show, comic book, graphic novel in some cases. So I think that's interesting. I guess I'm coming at you with just some thoughts today. The Epstein thing was very interesting to me. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting... Also, for the record, for the breakdown for your host, I was not expecting anything to ever really come out, like, to the level that we would all like to know, just like everything else. Just like UAP and UFO disclosure, that ain't never coming out, guys. Not so they're going to send us redacted, declassified documents where there's like one word and then, 10 paragraphs blacked out, and that's how this was always going to be. But then to just turn around and say, oh, those actually never existed, guys, even though we told you they did, they don't. Because what we say goes, and that's what y'all are going to do, because you guys, y'all just got to eat. Y'all got to survive and eat and feed your family and pay the gas pumps to fill up your car to get your ass to work. So I just guess I was a little surprised there, and it really does make a certain someone look pretty suspicious, in my opinion. Y'all do what you want with that. That's not even the tinfoil hat stuff, guys. That's just is what it is. That is information. That is your not so humble talking hairdo, just reading what they have put out there. Goodness gracious. The match made in hell, Trump and Elon. And the Elon thing is so interesting to me because of how both sides have hitched their freaking horses to his cart over the course of the last few years. Like in the beginning, the right hated Elon because he was the electric car guy, and everyone should know that electric cars are no cleaner than combustion engine cars and oil and everything else. I urge you to go look at what a lithium and cobalt mine looks like and who they're having doing that work and how old those people are that are doing most of that work and in what continent. So do your own research before you come at me, bro.
Can I interject a little bit?
Go ahead. Sammy's got something.
So yeah, the whole Trump and Musk thing has been very interesting to watch. And,
yeah.
Yeah, roller coaster. But I'm a little bit excited about the idea of a third party.
Yeah.
I feel like that the two-party system, the people taking the opposite side just because the other party was, doing this. I feel like a third party has been needed for a long time. Now, what that looks like in a party of Musk, I don't know if that's but if he's the billionaire that actually gets a third party actually going to where it becomes a part of our system, I'm kind of excited by that change or potential of change.
I can't disagree with any of that other than what you not disagreeing at all, but what you just said is Elon the guy we want spearheading that. That I don't know.
That I don't know, but I'm excited that he might be the one that his party might introduce the concept of the third party into the system.
Yes.
And then we as Americans will be like, oh yeah, but then Musk, and we'll see what Musk does.
Yeah, no, I like that take.
But if it introduces the concept of the third party into the mechanism, which so many of the people, you talk to studying people, they're like, oh no, we can never have a third party. Why not?
Exactly. And those are great points that you make, Sammy. Because it's pretty unfortunate that we've had a third party and several other options for all these years that nobody just can get behind. And quite frankly, to expose myself a little bit, I've voted a couple of different ways over my lifetime. I tend to go with this is a cliche and it's what we all get hung up on, is the lesser of the two evils. I do that a lot, but I have voted libertarian, and I wish that more people could really look into what libertarian actually means and what that looks like as a governing body. And it's just kind of sucks that we got to get some big honcho to make it okay to vote for a third party, like you're saying. And the Elon thing is just so funny that the right hated him, and then the left bought all his cars, and then boy did that ever backfire. You don't see many of those cars on the highway. That's not a joke. I've been doing a lot of driving. I did not see a lot of Teslas on the highway. I see a lot of them in town. But anyways, so then the left bought all their cars, and now the left hates Elon and the right loves him, and the left is vandalizing their own cars, I guess. And so I saw a Tesla the other day, and it had a bumper sticker that says, anti-Elon Tesla driver. So this girl is trying to let everybody be known that she doesn't like Musk, but she is in a Tesla. So please don't throw a brick through my window, I guess, fellow lefties. So anyways, that thing is just gives me a headache. And I just think this whole Elon Musk thing is about to get worn out, because I don't know if you guys are keeping up with his businesses and stocks and his fortune, but it's trending not in the right direction, and it has been for some time. So we'll see what happens there. Now, what I did want to get into is I was up a little past my bedtime a couple of nights ago, and I don't know if anybody's heard of Dr. Stephen Greer, but he is a documentarian. He comes his big deal is the congressional hearings on UFO and UAP sightings and black projects and the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works type people. One of his original, I can't remember what in the series of his docs, but it's called Unacknowledged. It's fantastic. Regardless of what you think about a lot of these things, you're going to learn something. And so this most recent documentary that Dr. Greer has come out with is on the suppression of inventions as it relates to fossil fuels and combustion engines and the likes. And I will have you know that there currently are 5,135 inventions that are under secrecy orders by the United States government. I'll repeat that for you one more time. Currently, there are 5,135 inventions that are under secrecy orders by the United States government. Why? Okay. So here again, I'm not here to tell you guys what to think, because that's clearly not my shtick. But I do like to bring up things that I'm interested in, because it's my show. It's The Breakdown with Ben. So I'm just bringing stuff. And we don't have football, guys, so this is what you get. You get tinfoil hat, Ben. My fault. But why are there 5,135 inventions that are under secrecy orders? That's weird. So this Stephen Greer documentary is basically talking about all the different times, and I'm sure Sammy's got some of this up, that people have created energy outputs that we have not sent, that we've never come up with. Okay, so Thomas Henry Murray created this energy source, radiant energy input of 0 kilowatts, and the output was 50 kilowatts. This man, Thomas Henry Murray, had multiple assassination attempts on his life and was almost killed once. Like, almost was successful in that assassination attempt. So, you know, these are just some things. I saw the documentary, and it was really cool. I would check out Unacknowledged first. Stephen Greer is... You know, there's some climate change stuff that I don't know if I agree with 100% that he hits me with, but he's definitely right on a lot of issues regarding the state of this planet and the rate we're going and the sheer loss of species and life in the ocean and in the air that we're experiencing in this on our planet, and he brings a lot of these things to light, and it's quite fascinating. And one of the things that he mentioned in his documentary, I'm going to pull it up in a moment, folks, so that I'm not just talking out of my ass and you know where to go find this, but he mentioned something that really rang true to me, and because I was just on a road trip, as I told you guys, with a lot of not very many Teslas on the road, I will say, on that 15-hour journey. But when I was a kid, I remember when we would drive on the highway, every time we stopped for gas, my dad would have to get out of the car and freaking scrub all the bugs off the windshield, because there'd be like a whole windshield full of freaking bugs. And like, this isn't really tinfoil hat stuff, but I urge you to ask yourself, do you have to clean your windshield off very often when you're driving on the highway? So one of the things that Dr. Greer brings to my attention is our insect population is almost down to nothing. And that's just a little something that if you notice that, it's a little tinfoil hat esque, but at the same time, it makes a good point. We know we've got issues with the bee population, and I've got a friend who is now a beekeeper, and he is actually wrangling them bees, man, and making tons of honey. And that dude's actually helping the freaking planet right now. But I'm going to go here. Stephen Greer. Hopefully I don't have freaking dudes in black suits showing up at my door tonight after this. 2024 doc. 2024 doc. I just want to have some reference here. Okay. The documentary that I was watching was called The Battle for Disclosure. And I am just going to click this up. It's just, it was a lot of UFO stuff, I'll be honest, but it had a lot of other different topics that were pertinent to the state of everything, really, and the suppression of inventions and things that could potentially give us clean, renewable, reusable energy that could be free and not cost anybody anything. But that doesn't really help the business of things, does it? No, it doesn't. And I just find that all that very fascinating. And there was, let me just look here. Yeah, Joseph Newman and the electric motor in the mid-1980s. The input was 17 watts and his output was 200 watts. You had the guy with the water-fueled car. I'm sure Sammy already put this stuff up here for you guys, but Stan Meyer with the water-fueled car in 1995. I'm pretty sure that guy got killed. Hydrogen and oxygen by pulsing water. So
I'm looking at a thing right now about Stan Meyer, and an autopsy showed that he died of a cerebral aneurysm. Even though Meyer's supporters continue to claim that he was assassinated by Big Oil.
Pretty crazy, guys.
Arab death squads, Belgian assassins, or the U.S. government in order to suppress his inventions.
Right. So there's no way to know if the dude just had an aneurysm and died or what the case is, but we do know that technology is not, is not a thing anymore. And so all that's just very interesting, all this secrecy and all this stuff. Like I said, I kind of had a disclaimer at the beginning of this program letting you know that there's not a lot of sports to talk about, so I'm just kind of going off the rails and talk about stuff that interests me that might interest you as well. And I encourage, regardless of what you think about all of Dr. Stephen Greer's opinions and thoughts on these issues, it's interesting and you won't get bored, and it'll make you think outside of maybe your normal kind of realm of what you think about in a day. I encourage everybody to check out some of his stuff. Let's see here. I'm going to kind of start probably closing up shop a little bit. And the robot umpires of Wimbledon got everybody mad. We've got Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers officially now. I didn't have Big Frank on today because we don't have just a whole lot of stuff to talk about on that stuff. So we're going to get with him next week, though, because we're inching closer to excitement. I did promise to talk about the Houston Astros today, which I did not, but I think I'm going to put a tasty little wager on them maybe later. I promised Kyle I would check it out. or you know what? And for Kyle, you know who you are. I will do my homework on the Houston Astros, and I will put them into next week's show a little more thoroughly. If you're still with us, um, we've got the Travie Wavy golf tournament this weekend, which I know I'm excited about it. The host before this program, Travis Eason, on the Travie Wavy Show, hosts a annual golf tournament, and it is in lieu of his birthday. So he had a birthday recently, and we're gonna have a golf tournament to celebrate that, and I'm super excited for that. He had Trav had Kyle Martin on, who is the theater honcho at Abilene High School. He is the I guess you'd call it the director of theater. He's the guy, and I can't wait to finish that podcast later on this afternoon. But let's see here. Oh man, I've been reading some good books lately. Oh dear. It's kind of dicey when you get into the opinion section of this Wall Street Journal. Okay. Let's see here. You got an interesting guy. For you New Yorkers out there, this opinion piece is the lure of Comrade Mamdani. So this Mamdani guy is a straight up, I think on paper, communist that is running for the governor of New York. Let's see. Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic Party's socialist candidate for mayor of New York, poses as the morally superior candidate because they got Cuomo running again. Like, New York City, get your shit figured out. He's got blood on his hands from the disastrous nursing home deaths during the freaking COVID nightmare nonsense that New York and California basically, isolated and killed off half their elderly population over some bunk science. That's what I think about that. Don't get me started on 2020 because I will go on forever because there is a clear winner and loser in that situation. The loser was all of us. But it's pretty cut and dry now. I still see people freaking walking around with masks on outside and in their cars. That just did a number on all of us. Good God.
I still never got over 2001.
2001. What was 2001? Like SARS or something?
September 11th.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, 9/11. There's one. Yeah, that one. Oh, yikes. Man, we could get into that. I watched a new documentary on 9/11 recently. The only thing I will say is, gosh, when I watched the tower number 1 go down, all the conspiracy theorists, for which I am open to and I am willing to jump on that train too. But everybody says that the buildings exploded like a demo, like from the bottom down. But that's not what I saw because I don't like to watch it because, Sammy, you're right. In 2001, I was 16 years old. I was a sophomore in high school. I think I was in government class, history class. That's kind of fun. That's kind of ironic, not funny. But anyways, that was something that I'll never, ever forget. But I will say the only thing that I kind of take issue with the people that said it was rigged to blow from the bottom, that son of a bitch came falling from the top, as I rewatched the footage about a week or so ago. So, like I said, I'm willing to entertain any of that because there was so much shady stuff going on. Rumsfeld We misplaced trillions of dollars. Lots of weird stuff going on with 9/11, which I would, I'm, I'm okay with getting into, because we all know what the aftermath of that was. Ultimately, it was us not going after who did it and making a regime change in Iraq, which you can't argue. And then Halliburton and everything else. So, and I come from oil country. My damn near everybody in my family is fed their families off of the oil business, So it is what it is, but there was some shady ass stuff going on back then, for real, and it can't be denied. And wow, yeah. So I wasn't even gonna go there, Sammy. Thanks for that one. Jesus. But, China's preparing for a Cold War with the U.S. I don't buy any of that either. That's something, what I don't buy is the fact that us and China are going to get any kind of shit together, because we're in business together. Tariffs, whatever. I don't buy any of it. China should leave the Dalai Lama alone, honestly. China cautions India on Dalai Lama. The dude's like 100. Let's see here. Yeah, it was his birthday on Sunday. China cautioned India after a minister said that only the Dalai Lama and Tibetan tradition can determine the next Tibetan Buddhist leader, as Beijing works to exert more control over a figure it considers a danger. The Dalai Lama's a sweet old man. He's like 100.
I heard a bit about this on NPR the other day. So China wants the ability to pick the next Dalai Lama, whereas the Dalai Lama right now, who's in exile in India, has said that the next Dalai Lama will be revealed outside of China.
Ah, so they're like, nah.
So and China's like, no, we have the right to pick the next, or say who's the next Dalai Lama, whereas the Dalai Lama is like off in India, like, no, the Dalai Lama, the next one after I die, the next one will be revealed outside of China.
Oh wow. Okay, that's
and so China, yeah, a huge part of China in that region, in the western part of China, are Buddhists.
Right.
Or is that Buddhist, or is that the follower of the Dalai Lama?
The Dalai Lama is Buddhist, I think.
Right? Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah, because Tibetan Buddhism.
Anyways, Western China, they follow the Dalai Lama a lot, especially in Tibet, which is kind of one of those regions of China which is kind of disputed depending on who you talk to.
Right. Yeah, we hope that India fully realizes that the Tibet issue is highly sensitive, recognizes the anti-China and separatist nature of the 14th Dalai Lama.
It's like another Taiwan thing.
Yeah.
It's them trying to suppress a local...
Yeah.
And saying that they have influence over it,
Oh, here you go. Thousands of Tibetans and foreign followers, including actor Richard Gere,
Oh, yeah, he's a big follower of the Dalai Lama. I forgot
we're
about
in
that.
the Indian hill town where the Tibetan leader lives for the main birthday event. Oh my God. You just become an American A-list actor and you get to just go cozy up with the Dalai Lama or whoever the hell you want to. Jeez, man. Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Richard Gere.
That's the power of entertainment, bro.
Isn't it?
The people who have been able to meet the leader of North Korea have all been entertainer personalities. That was the main power of our current president, was because of his
You fired.
notoriety. Yeah.
You fired.
Yeah, his stage personality.
Yeah, for real. And
it's like Reagan, but a different type.
Yeah.
But it's just, a different character. But he's playing a character.
And Trav says it best. It's all theater. It's all theater, right?
It is.
And
they're putting on a show for the public.
And our thespians are the ones
and then they're making deals in the background.
Yeah, that get the freaking front seat to all this crazy stuff. I will say, I really want to see the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt. I'm kind of excited about that.
I kind of am too. I don't know why. I think they've hyped that up pretty well.
They have. They need summer blockbusters. Jurassic Park, what about that? Have you seen that yet?
I have not seen anything about Jurassic Park, but I feel like Jurassic Park is one of those franchises they have beaten.
They beat it to death.
And beaten. You know why? Because every new generation has like 5-year-old boys.
Yeah, and it
And
has their
5-year-old boys and girls too, but
Yeah.
young kids love dinosaurs.
Yeah, they do.
So you gotta always have a dinosaur story out.
And young boys love Scarlett Johansson, don't they? Don't they? Oh man, and then the ladies love Chris Pratt. So you just stick those in there. And you got it, man.
Oh yeah, Chris Pratt's on fire.
Yeah, so Jurassic World Rebirth roars in its debut. Okay, let's see this. We got some movies. Dude, Wall Street Journal, everybody. And then I'm going to wrap up the show. I know, let's see. We've been going for a while. Not too long. We're about on schedule.
We're a bit over.
Okay. Jurassic World, first opening weekend, 91.5 million. F1 brought in 26 million. That is not as good. Oh, 28 years later. That's another one I can't wait. I've been following that one since like 2002 or whatever. Okay. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the victims and their families of the Texas flooding of the Guadalupe River and surrounding areas. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible. I hate it. I don't know why that has to happen, but it does. And I just hope for some kind of peace for everybody that's been affected by that. And I don't want to necessarily end on a sad note, but that is what happened, and it would not be cool to not just send out some more condolences and just really heartfelt emotions of my own to all those affected and who have lost loved ones due to that catastrophe. And in the coming weeks, we can look into, maybe how that could have been different in some ways. But for now, for today, that's not the time, and we're not going to do that. And anyways, on a lighter note, we discussed Wimbledon and the robots that are taking your jobs. And the WNBA tonight, I would put a little on Hot Atlanta to come out on top over Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Give yourself some soft, smooth rock from the 70s and 80s, whether it be Spotify or SiriusXM, The Bridge. Give yourself the easy listening for your ears for this nice summer. We're not even in triple digits around here. It's been pretty crazy. Clearly, the weather's been interesting, to say the least. Apparently, there is no Epstein list, even though there was an Epstein list. Now there's not because of whatever. We have the America Party being launched. Give the Dr. Stephen Greer documentaries a shot. They're great. They're really interesting. You may not agree with everything that he's got going on, but you will be entertained, and it will make you think outside of your box, which is what I'm trying to do with my life now and moving forward, is trying to think outside of my box and what I've put myself in over the course of my life, and to try to listen to some different opinions and thoughts on everything. Anyways, I'd like to thank again Sammy, my producer extraordinaire, and thanks for chiming in and on some topics. It made it more fun for me today. Watch the Travie Wavy with Kyle before this show. It's the one on before. I thank you guys for joining me today, and let's got some NASCAR. We got a lot of stuff this weekend coming up that are kind of on the motorsports side of things, but we'll get into all that next week. Enjoy Wimbledon. It's fun. It's a great nap. If you're not even into sports or tennis, just put it on, lay down, listen to some freaking smooth rock from the 70s. Take a nap. But anyways, we have been brought to you live from the Neon Parrot Live studios at the Majestic Coffee Shop in historic downtown Abilene, Texas. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week with Big Frank. I hope you Have a great day, and I hope you all stay safe and listen to some good music and hug somebody and be nice. Do something kind today. We'll take it out, Sammy. Peace.